Hello, I am Hepenwana, and I am going to be showing you for a submission video, The Quiet Man. Category we are playing is Blessed Silence Normal. I'll get into what all that means as we go along. Important things to know is, first off, there are two main category styles in this game, Blessed Silence and Remumbled. Blessed Silence is going to be very quiet. It is intended, there is practically no sound after the first minute, minute and a half. Other thing you should know is there is a potential for flashing lights. It's nothing too major, but this game is a little janky, so it's a little unpredictable, and some of the unpredictability occasionally can create a quick flash of light. It is very rare, but it can happen. I want to make sure it is fully known ahead of time. There is also swearing in this game. I am not a fan of swearing. You are not going to hear an F-bomb, an S-bomb, any of that from me. That's not how I play. But this game will have the F-bomb dropped a few times in the first minute and a half, but then the game goes quiet and no more swearing. Also, this game has a really good potential bid war if this is for a charity event that has bid wars or donation incentives. You could go ahead and have a bid war for this game without sound or with sound. You can even have it where it changes on the fly between chapters. There are 6 chapters, and it's very easy to change whether you have sound or not in between chapters. So when you start a new chapter, it could be, is there enough money raised to have sound? All right, we're turning on sound now. So that's all good things to know. Normal means we're playing normal difficulty. So this here, make sure we have no sound there. Make sure it's normal. However, since I've already beaten this game, we will start by loading off of the stage select screen. This is how you could change if you have audio or not. So we are going to go with no audio. That is Blessed Silence. We're going normal difficulty. That's the normal. And we are going to go ahead and load this up. It begins when I click the start button one more time. So we are going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so we are now loading up the Quiet Man. This is starting off at the very beginning, Chapter 1. We're going to have a little audio start the game. For some reason, this game decided you're playing as a deaf character, so you might as well have no audio because your character can't hear. I can understand the idea behind that. That is an interesting idea. We're going to have this little bit of sound to actually kick it off. Enjoy this while it happens, because we're going to go deaf soon enough. Or at least we're going into a world of weird echoey mumbles. It sounds like your head is underwater when the game hits its full stride. So, your main character, that'd be this guy here, Dane. We might call him Mumbles. I sometimes call him Wish.com Leonardo DiCaprio, because he looks kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio's stunt double if he needed one back when he was on Growing Pains. Yes, we're going deep dive into some obscure bad stuff knowledge. This game is a perfect awful game. It is a perfect meme game. It has a reputation for being one of the worst games ever. In a way, I have to agree. In a way, I have to completely disagree. I actually I have a soft spot for this game. I actually kind of love it for how amazing it is. It is humorous in all of the weirdest ways. Let's go ahead and enjoy just a brief moment of dialogue, because we're not going to get much of this. This is going to be about the deepest we go into cutscenes.
The savages are out tonight, kid. Be careful.
And actually, what I did earlier is I turned off subtitles, not turned off dialogue. So, dialogue was actually selected in the chapter select. This game, the menus are confusing because you might notice There is no description. You might notice that map also. It's a really bad map.
Tú eres un jotil. Este puto. Este puto.
So a little bit of swearing here,
Steps to my lady, my vieja.
but also a good example of the horrible acting.
Me lo pelas. Lo chingué.
By the way, you'll want to remember these three guys because we're going to be beating up like maybe 4 character models over and over, and these are 3 of them.
Yo! Wrong address, dog! No one ordered no chow!
Here comes brilliant acting, an all cutscene run of this, which is what this category
What
is
the hell, man?
is a ton of fun.
You stupid or very stupid? Muévase!
And, well, I hope you enjoyed the audio that we got, because we're done. That is it for audio. This is now the audio This is not the audio we want, but the audio we deserve. There is also another category, Remumbled, plays almost identical, except there's a longer cutscene at the very end, additional scenes with the very end of the game, but otherwise runs basically the same, very interchangeable. The difference between 2 categories are what one can you stomach the most. Are you going to go mad from not hearing anything, or are you just going to get frustrated at the horrible audio that you're going to deal with? Now we are in control. This game has several buttons, a lot of them we don't use. So you'll notice we also kind of fly and teleport around. This is pretty much a beat 'em up. And we are going to see the same character models over and over, with a random abrupt jump, going from full motion video into what I call the uncanny valley. A lot of people call it. But this reminds me of, I would say Polar Express, except that story is pretty good. This is more of Mars Needs Moms. This is Uncanny Valley in the silliest way. Also pay attention to character models, because I believe we are going to see twins on the left and the right, the same character model. That's how this game is going to go. So they're playing the options game up there. I hate that we interrupted their game. This game only has a few main buttons. One of them is a weak punch. For some reason, one of them is not triggering. This game is a little unpredictable. So there is weak punch, which we just keep doing a combination of punches. There is the run button. Run button is great. We want to use that as much as possible. There is also a dash button. We're not going to dash much. We might occasionally dash. We're going to have a lot of cutscenes. We have a punch. We have a dodge. We will dodge very rarely. The game does require it for a couple bosses. You have to dodge, and that creates an opening, and then you can finish off the boss. There is also the strong attack button. We will not use that on its own. There is a shove button. The shove button is great. It's known as the soft lock button. Then there is the I win button. You'll notice a blue light appears on the right side of the screen. Once that appears, like right here, and it's kind of faint, but once that blue light appears, we can hit the I win button. The screen goes kind of weird and teleports a bit. And we're done here, and we want to go to the next room. Once it does that blue light on the side of the screen, we're going to go ahead. Let's see it right here. You'll notice a little bit of that blue light. Hit the I win button, the camera goes weird, the color saturation goes a little silly, and then for some reason it doesn't always trigger correctly. This game is janky. It is great in its jank. And this is it for all that we have to play in Chapter 1. If we're playing normal any percent, we can actually just skip the rest of this chapter and jump to Chapter 2, but that's not how we play in Blessed Silence. Blessed Silence, there is no skipping to another chapter. You have to let the game play out from beginning to very end. So we're going to have a lot more cutscenes, but when you hit the I win button, after you hit that, if you hit the strong attack, you'll do some sort of big hit that will hurt people a lot, and a lot of times finish somebody off. It might take a few hits. It might only take one hit. We're going to use that I win button a lot because it's how we're going to break through some of the worst enemies. For example, later on, we won't just see the same 3 character models. We'll see a guy wearing all yellow, or a lot of yellow, and he has a machete. That machete is going to be bad news for us. So if we go into the I win mode, we could get rid of that machete. If you're thinking, hey, Heppenwana keeps talking, I don't know what's going on in the story, I have good news for you. This story makes no sense. So the very first time you play through this game, it's like this. No audio, no subtitles. By the way, Dane, Wishlist or Wish.com, Leonardo DiCaprio, Dane, he can read lips. He can also sign, and he is going to speak. We get no subtitles. This game was designed, I think, originally, more or less to help build understanding and consideration for the hard of hearing community, which could be a brilliant idea. Here's the problem. The problem is Dane understands what's going on and we don't. That doesn't build an understanding for us of Dane's situation. That creates this weird separation of our reality from the game reality. Here's our main character. I call her Mom Wife, also known as Lala or Lorraine. So this is your mother in the game. This is Dane's mother. When he was a child, his mother playing piano, this is what she looked like. Same exact actress is that painting we saw, or that photo we saw. That's Lala, not your mom. That is your love interest. This game could be called Oedipus, the Complex, the Oedipus Man. Whatever you would want to call it, that there is Lala. So we call her Mom Wife. Mom Wife, that name came from Giant Bomb. Giant Bomb was playing this game when it first came out during Extra Life. Same as when this game first came out, I actually played it for my Extra Life stream. That is how I learned to love this game. It has been part of charity events for me from the beginning. So, our main character, this would be your best friend. I think his name is Tay. I could be wrong, Tay or Tyrone. I forget because I played this game a lot in Blessed Silence, Blessed Silence. I almost stumbled on the name of that category. We're going to be talking a lot, so kind of run our mouth a little bit. But Tay here is your best friend. He is also the leader of kind of an organized crime family. He is your employer. Right now, you'll notice he's talking. Dane is understanding because Dane's reading lips, and he's signing. Dane is understanding that. But we get no subtitles. We get no audio. We don't know what it is Dane knows he said. So Soul 33 is that horrible gang of the same three guys that we're going to beat up over and over and over, sometimes multiple of the same guy in the same fight. So they are your childhood rivals. We're going to learn more about them, kind of. Also, when you finish this game, first time, they let you play through a second time with audio, the remumbled edition, the remumbled category. In that category, you get a lot more information, but the plot continues to make no sense. It makes less than no sense. It just kind of, there are events that do not work with the information you know. A good example is this whole game is going to be centered around a kidnapping and a revenge story. The kidnapping is a fake kidnapping, and the revenge story should make it where the fake kidnapping cannot happen how it does. This guy here is, so there's your friend. This guy here is the leader of Soul 33, and now here comes something super inexplicable. Young Dane sees these guys fighting and holding a gun. So what does young Dane do? While walking down the street holding hands with his mom, sees them fighting over a gun and goes, "Hey guys, cool gun." He's deaf or hard of hearing. He's not blind. So why is it he would go, I want to wave at the people holding the gun. And so they're reminiscing here about that other guy who was fighting over the gun with Tay. He was actually the leader of the gang. I think his name's Luis. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm always playing in Blessed Silence. So I only remember Dane's name and Lala's name. There's also other characters who are repeat characters who I'm going to have just complete nicknames for. So the leader of Soul 33, the leader of the gang, I'm going to call him Raging Bull instead of Luis. Because, well, when we see him later on, he has a boxer stance. He also charges like a bull. It's a perfect name for him. This game is inexplicable. And so, in case I didn't really cover it too well, one of the key differences between any percent and Blessed Silence, which is what we're doing, any percent, as soon as you put in the last actionable input for a chapter, and that happened way back when we fought those two guys in the kitchen of the apartment, then opened the door. Opening the door was the last action we take in Chapter 1. At that point, we could hit the start button, load up Chapter 2, and start Chapter 2, skipping all of these cutscenes. So, pretty much the main difference between normal any percent and normal Blessed Silence is how much meminess do you want? Do you want an all cutscenes exhibition? In which case, it is great fun for the audience. This category is a blast, because some of these cutscenes, they might be a little slow, and we could just talk about the game, have fun, joke about things. Some of the cutscenes, like for example, let's have musical cutscenes with no music. But some of the cutscenes are just golden and magic. However, the funny thing, if you play through normal any percent, where we're skipping any ending cutscenes at the end of a chapter, on one hand, you do save about 40 minutes. That could be good fun for everyone. On the other hand, we don't get to meet Tay pretty much at all until the final chapter where we're fighting him. And we don't know why we're fighting him. We don't even know who he is. Also, that guy earlier, before we came in and see Tay, we saw who I call Top Knot. The guy who had a top knot or kind of a man bun, kind of a hybrid top knot man bun going on, and we grabbed his handkerchief, wiped blood off of our coat, and then gave it back to him. That guy, we wouldn't see him pretty much hardly at all, if any. And we would start fighting him at the end and not know who is this guy we're fighting. Yes, spoilers. Our best friend ends up, we go against him, or he goes against us. I'm not really sure. Another great thing about this game, and that's the end of Chapter 1. Another great thing about this game, everyone's horrible. There is no good guy in this game. No one's good. Everyone is various levels of the worst. So here, finally, we're going to play again. You could tell because we're in Uncanny Valley time. So we're going to run over here. We're going to look at this. We're going to see a voodoo doll of sorts. a real bad, weird one. It looks like it comes out of like a bad, like, oh no, Dreamcast era game. Then we're going to click here. We're going to see some photos of mom wife. So, Lala, she is not related to our mother, even though it's the same exact actress as our mother. As far as I know, she's not related. Then again, the story does not show things. That's our mother. Different person, same actress. Same hair length, just tied up a little bit. They both play piano. They both sing while playing piano. They both make goofy faces at various times. By the way, if we die, we're going to have her doing weird goofy faces right into the camera, and it's going to be the weirdest death screen you could imagine before we respawn back to life. This game has infinite lives. That works to our advantage, because the combat, we should have no problem, but you can also die pretty easily because this game is janky, and sometimes it's just going to decide you need to die. So now, we went to Lala's apartment, I think that is, although at the same time, we see her apartment later and it looks a fair bit different, so I have no idea. But we're checking on her or something, make sure she's fine, and now we're at the subway. We need to ride the subway. We're going to go to the club to see Lala's performance, because Mom Wife is performing. But in the subway, we're being attacked by these guys. I win button did not want to. Now it triggers. See, this game is perfect level of jankiness. When they're blocking, hitting the I win button works perfect. There's that guy that was in the first scene who was talking. I love that guy. He is just perfect. Just fun to deal with. All right. So now we're going to have more people show up. This guy has a machete, no problem, but anyone who's yellow with a machete is going to be a problem. So we're going to have to deal with that coming up. By the way, speaking of problems, here is your dad. We're going to meet him later, but he's beating the poop out of poor Dane. Why? I don't know, really. He's also going to blame Dane for the death of his wife, or Dane's mom wife from the past. Why? I don't know. The story here is completely inexplicable. Your dad is human garbage, but everyone in this game and this world is human garbage. There are no redeemable characters, and if you play through with the sound, those who you think without sound might be redeemable, you'll learn with sound are completely irredeemable. Like, there will be a kidnapping coming up. I'll just say, story spoilers, it was a fake kidnapping all around. Alright, let's do a little more fighting. By the way, when we see the subway up close, like the actual subway cars, I want you to pay attention to the American flag. There's an American flag decal on these trains. And I teleport a little bit because that is what we do. I win button to bop him down. Okay, and now comes a guy with a machete. We want to do I win. I want to save that up a little, because otherwise this guy, when he has a machete, he will block us a lot. And I don't want that blocking. This guy also has a ton of hit points. If he does hit us while he still has the machete, it's bad news. Alright, here comes subway train. How many stars are on that American flag? There are 96 states in the United States of this world. I don't know why they would put American flag decals like that, but why not? So this here is Cop Dad. We're going to get to know him a little bit better soon. He is horrible. He is human garbage. He really is. I like to also think of him as Wish.com Michael Chiklis. He is Michael Chiklis, you know, from The Shield, The Commish, or from being the Thing in the Fantastic Four movies, but the stunt double version of him. All right, so chapter 2, we're now going to Lala. We're going to her apartment. I thought we were there earlier, but I guess not. Maybe it's her dressing room. I have no idea. We're going to show up, and she is on the phone with someone. Who is she on the phone with? I'm going to spoil this story because you are never going to play it. Trust me, if you haven't played this game already, you're not going to play it. You probably don't want to because it's the type of game you want to see people play. You don't want to play yourself. You want to be in the chat spamming memes, which hopefully if this was actually at an event, you'd be spamming memes right now. So, mom wife, Lala, she is on the phone with someone. She is actually on the phone with Cop Dad. She is arranging her own kidnapping right now. So, Lala, the not mom part of mom wife, she is Dane's love interest. She is Tay's love interest and is in a relationship with Tay. She is also, I believe, Cop Dad's love interest, despite the fact that she looks exactly like Dane's mom, so that's weird for Dane, and she looks like the dead wife, but younger, of Cop Dad's. So that's just weird all around. We run for an instant, and now we're done running. If we were playing any percent, we can now skip to chapter 3. But instead, we've got cutscenes to continue playing out, including finding a weird bird thing, because what does this mean? It's hard to really say because it is setting up things that there are so many more things being set up than are actually in place. When you play through this with audio, half of the story contradicts itself, half of it is inconsequential, and it is confusing where it all plays out. You'll notice Man Bun, you'll notice Tay, you'll also notice these two are once again only showing up after the point where I said we would normally jump to chapter 3 in any percent. They only show up in the end of chapters until chapter 6 to make things very confusing, very weird. It makes the shorter category a lot more confusing if you had not known the story, which is why I like to talk and run my mouth during all of this, so you know what's going on to an extent that at least kind of makes sense. So, speaking of the story, she was on the phone with Cop Dad arranging her kidnapping. She told Cop Dad, hey, I want you to kidnap me. Why? Okay, the game can be played with audio. I don't know if they ever even explain that. She just calls it the performance of a lifetime or her greatest performance or something like that. What does it mean? Who knows? Also, you cannot skip these cutscenes. Outside of normal any percent or hard any percent, where you, after you put in the last input for a chapter, you're allowed in the category to load up the next chapter. Outside of doing that, there is no way to skip cutscenes. None. And if I hit start right now, all it'd do is go into the menu and we would sit there, paused, waiting, aggravated, wondering why won't this end? So instead, we get to watch all of these, such as, hey, man, I don't want to see whatever your weird hobby is. Meanwhile, Dane has this weird, like, sad puppy dog face that almost looks like he's going to cry, like, I wanted to see my weird bird really badly. But, nope. Tay is just like, man, I don't care about the bird. Put that away. And so, in reality, what's happening here is Tay is like, I'm going to need you to make sure Lala stays safe. And Man Bun is, meanwhile, just being man bun. So once again, I wipe any blood off of me, put his handkerchief back in his pocket, because I don't know why. And so we're going to have a car ride. Car rides are amazing in this game, because car rides are a chance for people in a lot of games, movies, TV shows, entertainment media, whatever you want to call it. A car ride is a great time for dialogue, to expand the story without real action to explain it. You know, we're going to let words speak louder than actions when we get into a car ride. I don't even remember what's going on here. I think he's pretty much saying, like, hey, keep an eye on Lala, but also keep an eye on Dane. I don't trust Dane. I don't know what's going on with Dane. But we're going to get a car ride of Dane and Lala. They're going to be talking. Important thing here, Dane is looking out the window. She realizes, and she touches his hand to be like, could you look at me, because I know you could read lips. If you're looking away from me, you can't read my lips, and you can't hear my words, and therefore, this happens. And it's kind of, this is good. They're I think, flirting back and forth. I don't even remember. But what's real good, she forgets, I think, and says, saying while looking away, that he could not hear. We're going to have a scene that kind of mirrors this later on. That is perfect because it is Cop Dad driving while Dane is sitting in passenger seat. Dane is looking out the window. Cop Dad doesn't do anything to get his attention, but talks for like 3 minutes straight. It is a conversation scene that is beyond pointless. When there is audio back in the game, it's head scratching because why are you doing this? When there is no audio though, it's beyond pointless because it's 3 minutes of nothing. Here he's like, I'm being smart. You're not my girlfriend. You're my best friend's girlfriend. You know, the best friend who, when I was walking with my mom, holding her hand despite being like 14, I all of a sudden saw him wrestling with another friend with a gun, and I run over and start waving. By the way, that is the end of chapter 2. And we are now loading into chapter 3. So, chapter 3 is going to start off with the most inexplicable scene possible for having no audio. We are going to get a musical performance. And you're probably like, well, obviously they're going to turn the audio on for this. No, they're not. Also, when I jumped over to when I said chapter 3 begins, at this point I could, if there's a bid war, let's say, for audio or no audio, and so running bid war, if I was told, hey, we just got a huge donation for adding audio, I'd be able to hear, well, a minute ago when we first saw the club loading in, we could go ahead and load up the other chapter, or load up this chapter, but the with audio version, have it ride out with audio, and when chapter 4 begins, if somebody said, no, there's a huge donation, we're back to blessed silence, I could then swap it back on the fly. It invalidates the category in terms of running it for the leaderboards at SRC, but it opens it wide up for bringing in more money for a charity event. If there isn't a charity event, but it's a showcase, we can even have like a running tally or a poll. We can have a poll in the Twitch chat. In between every chapter, as we approach the end, start the poll. All right, for this upcoming chapter, the votes are in, and it is no audio. Speaking of no audio, we get a musical performance from the great musical stylings of Head Underwater. Because even though there is no audio, there is actually still this It's hard to hear. Sometimes it's louder than other points. I love the fact that during the musical performance, it's extra quiet. And yes, we are getting an intended musical performance with no audio. It is brilliant. He's not listening to it. He is just seeing her there playing. Now he's seeing visions of his mother, who's dead, but the same exact actress playing piano. And now she's dead because he ran up to the two kids playing with a gun and he's waving at them, and then mom wife dies. Poor Dane is heartbroken. We're going to slowly have more revealed about that death, and so essentially the kid who grows up be Raging Bull, be Luis, the leader of Soul 33, gets blamed for the death. He is held accountable. It's kind of a everyone's accountable type of thing. By the way, this here is the Quiet Man. So, right now, Mom Wife is about to be kidnapped. She's going to be kidnapped by the Quiet Man and is going to end up being held hostage or being held in the care of Raging Bull. Despite the fact that Raging Bull is the one who killed Mom Wife, the mom version of Mom Wife. Well, he's screaming so loud, it almost doesn't make audio. So, we are going to end up learning that the kidnapping was set up by Cop Dad and Mom Wife, Lala Mom Wife, to be held by Raging Bull, despite the fact that Raging Bull should be an enemy of Cop Dad because he killed Mom of Mom Wife. If that doesn't make any sense, this game doesn't make sense. Also, you might be wondering, who is Quiet Man? Quiet Man is actually multiple people. As we go through this game, we're going to have multiple people wearing that mask. So is Quiet Man a good guy, a bad guy? Everyone's a bad guy in this. So short answer, yeah, a bad guy. So all this fighting going on, and we're still not into the Uncanny Valley yet. It's like, how much fighting? Let me fight. Game, let me do some fighting. All right, Uncanny Valley time. That means it's time to fight. You gotta love the teleporting around. So when I started this game, I mentioned there might be flashing lights. This is what I mean by it, because it is hard to tell if it's going to have flashing lights or if it's going to have jank or just a quick moment of bright that's not quite flashing lights. It's all confusing. And now we fade out to a boss fight. And here is where this is one of my favorite parts of the game, because it's just going to get silly for a bit. It's going to get very silly. If you thought it was silly before, it's going to get more silly. So this boss fight is incredibly easy. Like, this is one of the most mindless boss fights of the game. It's also getting loud for being such a quiet game. So he has a cattle prod or a taser rod, whatever you want to call this. I call it a cattle prod. I mean, that's essentially what it is. So we are going to go ahead. We want to get into I win mode. We'll knock him down. We don't need aim because when he stands up again, we'll automatically start hitting him. We'll go into I win mode. We'll just continue this for a bit. And we just keep hitting him. And then we go into I win mode, and now you could tell the fight's over because it jumped back to FMV. And now we're going to see Dane. Dane is not all that smart. I'm going block that, and then it kind of gets fancy. It almost is cool. He dodges it, and then he grabs the tip of the cattle prod. That's the one place you don't grab. Quick bit of advice. Somebody comes at you with one of those, and you know the end is a shocker. Bat it away. Don't grab it. Or if you grab it, you need to pull that away in a hurry. So here, I waved at my friends with a gun, and oh no, mom wife got shot. She's like, huh? This whole thing made no sense. Great thing, no bullet hole. Just a squib under a dress. And now we've got to run. We've got to run. We're using the run button. It's one of the few times we get a lot of use of it. And now parkour. Why? Because you couldn't run around that crate, even though there was space to run around that crate. I win button. By the way, we are going to have a machete guy coming up right here. So we gotta hit him hard with that to knock that machete out of his hands. And the I win button is not wanting to activate. It sometimes acts a little funny, so we'll get in a few extra hits. Slow motion means we're done. Back to FMV. And now we're going to get one of the silliest, we're going to get parkour. It is parkour time. If you know the giant bomb videos of this, mom's dead parkour. And you might think new chapter because cut or this loading screen. Nope, it's just loading. So much awesome parkour, it needs to take a breath. All right. Actually has to take a few breaths. And now here we go. We are going to get my favorite single scene of this whole game right here. I love this. I hope you enjoy it. Bald guy parkour. Right off of his head. That is chef's kiss right there. And now we have the final fight of chapter 3. If we were doing any percent, we'd be getting ready to load up the next checkpoint or the next chapter as soon as possible. We are going to have a machete guy coming up, so we're going to want to be very mindful of that. And now we get rid of that machete. All will be good. Bop him down. Bop him down. And bop him down. And this is where we would load the next chapter, but we are not doing any percent. Quiet Man was there for a moment. Where are you, Quiet Man? That made no sense. It makes no sense because Quiet Man was imaginary right there, obviously, and he drove off in a van, so Dane gets hit with a baseball bat. I always forget this happens. I do any percent more often than not. So here, Raging Bull is bragging about, I had a gun and I shot her. That made no sense. Like here is where we just watch the delusions of Dane. And now here comes Tay's favorite goon, Man Bun. Man Bun to the rescue this time, instead of being the one who we just make fun of. By the way, if this was for a charity event that we were playing through this game, there are a ton of points. So many of them where we could just go Hey, if there's any announcements the host would like to make, now is a good time. Or if it's one where we'd expect a lot of donations, could be, hey, if you've got 2 or 3 donations, we could go through those right now. Of course, always be mindful, don't ask for donations if it's an event where you might not think you would have donations all the time, because you don't want put on a weird, awkward spot. But you can always say, hey, if there's anything the host would like to read, if you'd like to plug the charity, now is a good time. If you'd like to tell us what runs are coming up later on, it is a good time for that. If you'd like to tell us more about this organization and what you do, right there, Man Bun saved Dane. He saved him, and Dane just breaks his window. Man Bun's like, dude, that guy has a problem. I'm going to call up Tay and tell him Dane has a problem. And he's like, man, I hate the fact that Dane has a problem. Because my problem is Dane. More people just being angry on the phone, yelling back and forth. I don't know who he's yelling to there, because I think he's riding in his limo alone, or town car or whatever. I think that was the end of chapter 3. Once again, Man Bun and Tay only show up at the end of a chapter. If you're doing any percent and you're skipping to the next chapter, you miss every scene with them. So now we are on chapter 4, and you're probably thinking, hey, the estimate for this run is around 2 hours and 20 minutes? Why are we halfway through and it's less than 45 minutes in? Well, these last 3 chapters, in particular 5 and 6, in particular 6, but 4, 5, and 6 are longer than 1, 2, and 3, because always, build up the expectations, then deliver them with a nice punch. Speaking of a punch, this is kind of a fun spot, because we are going to get to fight a lot of people, but we're going to have the screen get all wonky on us repeatedly. Just keep punching people down. So this is the one point in the game that almost feels the most like a video game. Because we're going to have a lot of just beating people up. This is almost video game-ish. Look at this, we're just video gaming. Have you ever seen a movie this bad that actually is a video game? Wait, you're saying this isn't a movie? This is a video game? Wow, I had no idea. Once again, we need a flashback to Mom Wife. Who was Mom? Who played piano? 'Cause, yeah. So we get a little bit more of this, and now we're going to run through into another fight, because it is all about fights. Right now, the game is for real, just being a game. Let's enjoy this. The good cartoonish violence, like this is just gaming at its gaminess. In fact, I would say if this was a meal, this would be some wild animal, because it is gamey as can be. Wait, gamey is not a good thing. You don't want things gamey, but it is kind of gamey. And we're just trying to wait for all these people go down. There's always another. And then we bop him. Hopefully that's it. Nope, now it's it. By the way, it's hard to tell if there is RNG or if it's jankiness, but I could swear every game that I play through of this might take more punches on an enemy or less punches. Oh yeah, time for another time in the subway. So love that Subway American flag sticker with its 96 stars, because apparently we have added some more states. We have East Washington, West Washington, East Oregon, West Oregon, East California, West California. We have an East and West or North and South for everything in this future. Who knows? There might be a North Dakota. Or, actually, no subway yet. I was wrong on that. I always forget the order of these things. This game is saying that. And now, machete guy, we want to aim carefully to get the machete guy down. We'll do some teleporting around. Teleport some baddies so they show up exactly where we want. Keep doing the I win on him. You could tell fights are done when it all of a sudden goes very slow-mo for no reason. And no, we are still in Chapter 4. It's just another weird loading screen. Some loading screens show, like, you know, stock photos and stock videos of the neighborhoods of New York. I think it's New York. Other ones, inexplicably, just go to this wax crest, of which you have to love somebody's using a wax seal to be the quiet man. The most amazing, infamous of good guy, bad guys. Oh, so here we run into Cop Dad. Cop Dad is hanging out with the Soul 33 gang. Spoiler, Cop Dad is actually the quiet man and is the one who kidnapped Mom Wife and brought Mom Wife to the Soul 33 gang. I don't know what the point of this is. Like, does he know Dane is there watching him? And then here, Cop Dad just being a complete jerk. This is right after Mom Wife got killed. The Mom Wife. So she got killed, and he's pretty much right here. It's supposed to look like you're probably thinking, oh, this cop, he kind of took in Dane after everything went bad. And he's like, I know it's so hard. You lost your mother, but it'll be okay. And you know, things will get better. In reality, what he's doing is he's going, I hate you. I always hated you. Also, I was already an abusive father, so whatevs. I should punch you some more. Because he is garbage. Everyone in this game is garbage. So now we're going to enter this apartment, and somehow Cop Dad is going to get a costume change in a hurry, because we're about to see Cop Dad as the quiet man again for another mini boss fight against the quiet man. Unless it's someone else dressed up as quiet man. So during this game, we're going to find at least 3 quiet men, all using the same mask. That mask is like the sisterhood of the traveling pants, but it's the brotherhood of the stupid bird mask. Actually, it's kind of a cool mask. It's just this character is, well, the whole story is pretty bad. So here, he's now having flashbacks to his mom, but those are pictures of Lala, the modern day mom wife. So there is Oedipus complex left and right here. And then, of course, I hear you with my blood. Sing for me. You could tell we're in that uncanny valley, so we're having a fight coming up. Because look who it is. It's Cop Dad as the quiet man. Round 2. In a room filled with trash cans. Fun thing to pay attention to here. There are a lot of trash cans in this room. Camera is atrocious. Teleportation just happens left and right. And we're just going to keep hitting that I win button. So we just want to keep doing this. And then we bop him. Just keep doing this. I win button. Keep doing it. This game is incredibly difficult. You'll see I am just struggling to pull off these amazing combos. You'll notice I was punching the wrong direction. Ooh. I was actually almost getting in some serious trouble there. There we go. Sometimes the game, it could be janky, and if the screen starts going black and white, you're taking too much damage. After it goes full black and white, it'll then turn red. Once it turns red, if you get hit again, you are going down. You do recover with time, so it's important to play it safe, but we're speedrunning. We can't play it safe. We got to keep moving. Now, let's go in here. We're just randomly picking fights with people. We're just going to keep bopping people left and right. That's a nice cinematic, like bopping. Take him down. On to the next room. This guy comes at us. He's almost like a mini boss. Until we go the I win button. And down he goes. My I win button didn't want to trigger, so we just had to throw a few extra quick punches. Dane's looking angry. He's looking riled up. And now we run through here, and we are now in what should be the last action sequence of this chapter. And yes, we finish on not even a boss fight for this chapter. But don't worry, upcoming chapters always end on a boss fight. Chapter 5 ends with fighting Raging Bull. Don't hit me. I'll bop you every time. And this is when we jump to chapters 5 if we're doing any percent. Instead, we're going to have some cutscenes. Hey, don't raise the middle finger salute. This is a friendly charity event or showcase. And of course, oh, he has the bird seal. And the cops are here. Luckily, Dane is like a ninja. Out. You might say that bird flew the coop. There's a lot of bad memes you could use. There's a lot of bad jokes, a lot of bad puns. Puns are great, by the way. If I am running for an event, there's a lot of times where I will say, especially if it's very easy to do and fit in, I'd be like, hey, if chat has some puns, or if there are donations with puns, you'll make me really happy. So let's bring in some money for this great organization and tell me all about your quiet puns. So what's great, we're going to see more about who was actually holding the gun and whatnot, but right here, first off, you gotta love this 14-year-old kid, or maybe 15, I don't know. They look like they could be anywhere from 14 to 16. But he's doing that whole struggling, fighting off the cops. Meanwhile, Cop Dad is like, I will kill my own son right here. I will beat him up or something. But what's great, Raging Bull is being taken away as the person who murdered his wife. Behind the scenes, he's working with Raging Bull. He's working with him because he kidnapped Lala, mom wife, and brought her to Raging Bull to keep her during this fake kidnapping. Why would he work with the kid who killed his wife? Especially since his whole driving thing is he hates Dane, his son, because he views Dane as being responsible for his wife's death, even though they're just walking down the street, and the only thing he did that was dumb is he started going, "Hi, friends with a gun, I see you, I see you," but he didn't cause them shoot at him or something, miss him waving away and shoot mom wife behind him. No, it's inexplicable. And here he's like, you know what? You're always a screw up. But you know what? I'm just going to kind of tell you then, hang out with you. And now flashbacks to the abuse earlier. And it's this abuse from his dad that makes him draw a lot of black circles in a black crayon. It's actually him inventing the quiet man. Because his dad abused the heckaroony out of him. And meanwhile, his dad is running around as the quiet man, not showing any injuries to himself despite being punched repeatedly by Dane a couple times tonight already. So now we get more inexplicable cutscenes that really just rank up there with all of the cheesiness and makes you think maybe if there's audio, we'd have some idea. Once again, Tay shows up at the very end. Tay, being his friend, calls him. By the way, they are smart. When he does call, he does use face on. You know, pretty much he FaceTimes him, so they could read lips still. But we're going to have a cutscene here that's inexplicable, and you're probably thinking, oh man, with audio on, so many things we could learn, because and I don't know how the mask got there, because the mask was with his dad, who's been beaten up twice with it. This mask goes places. It has legs. And then there is Lala mom wife's dress with blood, of which she didn't get shot. If you know the whole story of Cop Dad is the one who kidnapped her and she asked him to kidnap, then why the bloody dress? It doesn't make sense, but now he's going to scream so hard that there's an earthquake. The blood wouldn't be red still, so it's like, why are... But now he's going to wake up after his earthquake, his screaming earthquake, and, well, he might have had a night. He's looking around going, uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. So what's the uh-oh? What is this uh-oh? Oh, his hands have blood, and he's like, oh no. And no, it's not the stream abruptly ended, Twitch didn't crash. No, he might have beaten up all the guys in the suits that seem to represent Tay's gang. Apparently, Dane turned into a werewolf, because this is werewolf vision from like any horror movie. Yeah, I love how all of Tay's gang, for the most part, have the coiled up earpiece. Because who has that except for Secret Service? I mean, that is something you will not see on any other cheesy, like, you know, organized crime family type thing. Uh-oh. And here's the point where Tay's like, what's going on? Why is that Dane in the bird mask? Because This is all just so perfectly inexplicable, and we're only about halfway done, even though chapter 4 out of 6 is wrapping up at this point. We are only halfway done, because we are in for the long haul, because things are only going to get sillier, with the exception of we won't have anything nearly as silly as bald head parkour from earlier. So here here Dane is able to see that mom wife is alive but is in trouble, although she's not in trouble at all. And how many of these bird masks were made? Does everyone have a bird mask? Can you go out and buy them? Fun fact, I actually went to see if you could buy them. I could not find anyone, even on Etsy, selling one like that, because I actually thought, hey, for a donation incentive, why not say I will play this in the Quiet Man mask? Ooh, you're in trouble. Tay's going to be angry that you beat up all of his friends. Once again, end of a chapter is the only time we're seeing the Tay cutscenes. If you play any percent, also keep in mind, chapter 5, I don't think we're going to see Tay at all. And actually, we will, once again, only after the final action scene. So when you could skip to chapter 6. So, speaking of chapter 5, we are now entering chapter 5. Chapter 5 is when we start having good boss fights. And by good, I mean they're bad. But they're kind of good at the same time. Like, they're going to require us to actually use skill. We have to use skill at least once in this chapter. Here we go, Subway, check out the 96-star flag. Run over here. Guess what? This guy was doing nothing at all. But we're just going to beat him up, because we're kind of the worst. The worst. Threw in a dash just for the fun of it. There's your dash move. So one of the moves that I don't use, so we're going to wait for it to fade out, the B button. The B button kind of shoves people. It is a soft lock button. What you can do, shove someone into a wall. I don't mean slam them against a wall, I mean shove them into the wall. All of these fights don't end until you beat up everyone on the screen or on the stage. If you shove someone into a wall, their hitbox will be inaccessible, at which point you're soft locked. And you will have to restart from the beginning of that chapter. We're also about to have a new enemy come in. And this new enemy is super bad news, because they could shove us to the ground or slam us to the ground. Here's the important thing about being slammed to the ground. It takes time to get back up. Here he comes, this guy, the guy with red. So we want to beat him up in a hurry. Hopefully he won't get any shots on us. But we are going to confront him multiple times. Slow down, so we're done here. Interact with this trailer. We're going to go through this boxcar and somehow come out into another area with more of the same. Once again, we're entering a video gamey part. It's like we are playing a video game. Let's have fun with that. Uh-oh, I saw him. That's his move to push you to the ground. If he'll go into his 3-point stance, charge at you, and then try to slam you to the ground. If he does, they won't beat you up while you're on the ground. Instead, it just takes you a half hour to stand up. Like, it literally, you lose half a minute if you get slammed to the ground. Try and keep the guys a little separated from us, because we don't need to be beaten up, because that'll just slow us down too much. Right now, it's all about crowd control. Hey, don't punch me from behind. Not nice. Okay, there we go. One guy had 1 hit point left. Go under the garage door. And now, if you know anything about high-pressure gas cylinders, be ready to be surprised at what they do with them in this game. Once again, this guy. Ooh, trying once again. Don't let him get into that 3-point stance. We're going to focus on him a lot. And all of these inexplicable ghost memory scenes. I think that's it. So now we're going to see high-pressure gas cylinders not do what they do. They contain gases, like air, gases, that are high pressure. If they fall regulator side down like that, it'll break the valve stem, they'll shoot like a rocket. They're not filled with liquid. They're not filled with gasoline. They're filled with gas. You know, like the phase of matter. Not solid, not liquid, gas. But no, for some reason, they think they're filled with gasoline. Also, this building is now on fire. And these guys are playing arcade games. That's pretty cool. Kind of rude of me to interrupt them playing a game. Machete guy, I want to save up my I win to really, really make sure he doesn't win. Yellow guy got up again. Hey, come on. I'm getting beaten up a little more than I should right there. Now we go to the next room, health fully restored. Once again, get rid of that machete in a hurry. Hit this guy. Bop him down. Bop him down again. There we go. I win was taking a little effort. Super slowdown, so that means we ended that room. Ride the elevator up. And now comes an actual, for real boss fight. And they almost make this guy look kind of cool. He's a horrible actor. Almost everyone in this is really bad at acting. Tay almost does, the actor who plays Tay actually almost does a good job acting. I honestly can't tell, is it the script and the director, or is it the actor just being bad at acting? But I honestly think Tay, the actor playing him, does an almost good job. I feel bad that he was in this because it probably didn't help his resume any. So now he was the quiet man. That would be our second quiet man, or at least our second. And so in this boss fight, we cannot just wail on him then hit I win. We are going to have to set up counterattacks by parrying his attacks by dodging. We actually use the dodge button. I've used it like twice so far this whole run. Twice in over an hour, but we're going to use it quite a bit. We also, I love the gold statue, it's cheesy. We have to hope for RNG being on our side. All right, he's going charge. And that's going to set up the next part of the fight. This plays out really weird because usually I have to actually hit him some to get to this part of the fight. Also, not every time will he charge at you. I've actually had him go through without ever charging. It's now smoky in here. You might have forgotten this building's on fire because there was gasoline kept in a high pressure gas cylinder for some reason. And it lit off of a guy's cigarette, even though that isn't even how gasoline really honestly works. There we go, set up a combo, and now we're going to counter him. We're going to get some good hits. RNG is going in my favor on this one. This fight can go either really good with RNG or really bad. I kept hoping that gold statue would have been a part of this, but that gold statue has nothing to do with this fight. And now we're going to have one final little cutscene before we get to the final phase of this boss fight. It could either be us dodge and counter, or it could be us pretty much having him charge, and when he's tired, running out of steam, we punch him. Come on. Nope. Come on. There we go. Like I said, it's RNG. It is all RNG. Slam him down a little. Come on, get up. If we're lucky, we can... We're lucky, come on. All right, and this should be it. Go and slam him against the window. Right now is when we skip to chapter 6 if we're playing any percent. Instead, we're going to have a lot of cutscenes right here. Like, right here is a perfect time where I'd be like, if we've got donations to read, now is when we should have them. Or if you have announcements, because we are going to have cutscenes for days. So we punch him out the window. Remember, we rode the elevator up a few times. So we are up on like... Oh, jump out the window after him. Inexplicable. Everything is inexplicable. So we jump out the window after him. Somehow... she's right outside the window, and we fell down like 2 feet. Because there's a balcony there. Keep in mind, there's a balcony right here, outside that window. There was no doors that I could see on that side of the wall. just windows that were non-openable windows, like skyscraper windows. So for some reason, they put a balcony on the outside of a space you cannot get to. And there's a bunch of fire coming from down there. If there's that much fire coming up, and he's like, I'm glad I'm dead. I don't want to be in this anymore. You still have another chapter. Another chapter. So then, another thing happens right here. Lala, mom wife, is in no shape to get out of here. So we're going to carry her. We're going to be her hero. We will save her. Of which she put herself in this situation by asking Cop Dad to fake a kidnapping of her that somehow went to this guy, Raging Bull's home turf. So we're leaving while carrying her. This would be a perfect time for you to control this if this was a normal video game. Maybe some quick time events, maybe some QTEs, like right here, beat these guys. It should be hit the X button, hit the Y button. No, this is all unplayable cutscenes. And it's that guy again. We've beaten up that guy like so many times since the beginning of the game when he said, "Are you crazy or very crazy?" to us. The last line of dialogue we got to hear in this whole experience, are you crazy or no, are you stupid or very stupid? This is a game. So now we're going to go outside. We rescued mom wife. The building's on fire. And things are about to go from bad to incredibly bad. I don't know whether I mean that as in from bad to worse, or this game is bad, the story is bad, and it's going to get more bad. Actually, I mean all of those. But we've got another hour on the estimate here, and we're almost done with Chapter 5, which means Chapter 6 is going to be a ride, you have to imagine. And you would be imagining correct. So another touching cutscene. So we have this touching cutscene. They talk with each other. I love how he goes like, I can't hear you. But she's looking at him. At this point, it has shown that she knows he can read lips. So it's like, why did he go? It's inexplicable. I think it might be kind of a joke thing they say there. I haven't watched it with audio in way too long. Or maybe not long enough. But ultimately, everything just goes bad in a hurry for him. Because here comes Tay. By the way, I could swear it looked like they were sitting on top of like a fire escape or something, and now all of a sudden they're down on ground floor. I don't know whether this is meant to be a slightly different scene from that last one, and that last one was a flashback, or what it is, because this game is inexplicable in its direction, and inexplicable in a lot of the choices it makes. Here, though, Tay is actually kind of acting really almost good. Like, I honestly do like the actor who plays him, at least in this game. I don't know if I've ever seen him in anything else. I don't know if anyone went on to do any other acting before or after this. But the actor who plays Tay does a good job of that slow descent going from, hey, I'm your best friend, to being, you betrayed me. Like right here, just really powerfully, like, bad guy. And then Lala, mom wife, goes, "Don't shoot him! He saved my life!" Even though actually, like, I set up the fake kidnapping, he didn't really save my life as much as I risked everyone's lives. I don't know why, because there's no real explanation given for why Lala set this all up. Like, they never go into detail of that. It's never part of the resolution of the story. Because if she was trying to get away from Tay and end up with Dane, makes no sense. There, Man Bun gets his redemption arc. What's his redemption arc? His redemption arc is, you use my handkerchief, wipe up blood a few times, now I'll give it to you to wipe up your blood. Oh. Yeah, this game just goes places. At the beginning of the game, you probably would have thought beating up Raging Bull, that would have been the end of the game. Or when you saw the Quiet Man show up, beating him up would have been the end of the game. But nope. Now, we've got Cop Dad looking down on Dane, going like, what is the point of this game? Like, why are you here? Why am I here? I don't even know what's going on. I'm kind of mumbling enough where you can't really see my lips move too well in this darkness. So you probably can't see what I'm saying. So I'm just, I don't know, I'm talking to myself at this point. And now he's like, let's have a flashback to, so son, your mom died. It wasn't really your fault, but because you're the one who was waving inexplicably at the two kids who had a gun, I'm just going to blame you for life for this. Like, yeah, I mean, you're going to be blamed for saying that's inexplicable. It's all right. Just remember, when we get home, I'll just abuse you horribly, but I will take you to a psychologist, or a psychiatrist, or a counselor. Actually, when I said there's no good guys in this, there is one good guy. This counselor, psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, I don't know what role exactly. Right here, with dialogue on, he's like, Dane feels really bad. And literally, Cop Dad goes, he should feel bad. Like, I believe that is the line, word for word. Well, good. He should feel bad. It's like, Cop Dad, you could have avoided all of this by not being horrible. But we all end up with horrible people because everyone in this game world is horrible. It's brilliant. So, now we get, I mentioned this at the start of this run, the most inexplicable thing you could have in this quiet, no audio, with a character who is deaf. Cop Dad is going to drive. Dane is looking slightly to the side, away from Cop Dad, with his eyes tilted primarily away. And Cop Dad's going to talk. For 3 minutes. By the way, here is a point where I'd be like, it is a fantastic time for the host to read any announcements or donations, because we're going to have a 3-minute car ride. Like, this is inexplicable in every sense possible. This doesn't help the audience in any way. I forget what the actual conversation is with the dialogue on, except it doesn't really help add to the story from what I could remember. It is primarily, well, you messed up, didn't you? Yeah, you've always been a screw up. For 3 minutes straight, I could say, you're a screw up. Yeah, you dang. I know you can't read my lips right now because you're looking away. But you're a bad kid. I'm a horrible father, don't get me wrong. But you're a bad, bad kid. Then I love when the streetlights hit just right and the uncanny valley of these visuals. His eyes the whites turn orange for an instant. It's almost like a cat's eyes. Like it just glows like a cat's eyes in the darkness. But there we go. That perfect glow. That's, perfect Uncanny Valley. Uncanny Valley is brilliant when it's in the right wrong medium. Mars Needs Moms, I mentioned earlier. Polar Express, which is, I think, the closest we have to a Tom Hanks horror movie, because that Uncanny Valley is horrifying. And guess what? We have 50 minutes left on our estimate, and we are rolling in to Chapter 6. I would say time is coming up when blank happens, but we're going to have a lot of time to set that up, because we have a lot of Chapter 6. Chapter 6 is all sorts of game. Chapter 6 is going to go on for a while. And it's going to actually be the gamiest part, because we're going to have a lot of fights, including some boss fights and some inexplicable things. I want you to start thinking, what is the most inexplicable thing that could happen during this? This game is entirely set in reality. No matter. He just rolled his eyes at me like, set in reality. No, it's not. It is. Ooh, I actually dodged him, which set up a free I win mode. And then I could do an I win mode right after. And just keep I winning. Slow motion means we're going into a new area. Cop Dad's tagging along like, I don't know why I'm here. Actually, I do, because I'm going to be somehow. So, like I said, think about what's the most inexplicable thing. I want you to think about that. Think good and hard on what would be an inexplicable way to play out this game. Also, in this area, I am going to run some risk of being beaten up. So, remember how before, if anyone had a machete, they'd be extra bad news? In this stage, if anyone has an object in hand, and these guys in the red shirts, if somebody looks different, you know how we've all been taught since kids that if anyone looks different, they're perfectly fine. Well, in this game, if anyone looks different, they are going to be bad news. I love that guy just standing there going like, but if anyone looks different or if anyone has an object, he's like, I'm still in this game? Why am I still here? His facial expressions during this chapter I love, because he keeps having a look like, we're still doing this. We are still doing this. So this is going to be the first fight where I have a very good chance to actually die. I'm hoping not, because we always want to put on the best show possible. Actually, fight's going to start in a short bit. We first need a little bit. We need some Tay time. Tay's like, oh my, I get to be in this game before the end of the chapter cutscenes. Yes, Tay. For once, you are in before what we would skip if we're doing any percent. Because, like I said, any percent, as soon as you're finished with the last button input that you need to make for a chapter, you could go ahead and load into the next chapter. And Tay and Man Bun, his, right-hand goon, are the only characters who never show up in the first half of a chapter until chapter 6. Chapter 6, things get a whole lot better. I'm just keeping an eye behind me. I have a little thing behind me. So, right here, we're getting what should be some good acting. But once again, there's no audio. They do a good job capturing, though. He is kind of that over the edge of, you betrayed me. You were my brother and you betrayed me. At which point I believe at one point he said saying you know what? Kill Cop Dad. Kill Cop Dad, we're good. Which is inexplicable because why does he not like Cop Dad? I don't think at this point anyone knows except for Mom Wife that Cop Dad kidnapped Mom Wife. We don't even know that unless we're playing the remumbled category. So he's going to be kill Cop Dad. Do that and we're fine. Just kill him. And it's why would you demand that? Dane, it looked like, was stealing your love interest from you and beat up all of your people. None of this makes sense. But we're about to have some good big fights. Anyone with a baseball bat is going to be the worst news right here. And we are going to have to actually play very smart. This area is, and this guy in the red shirt is also bad news. We want to bop him primarily. Bop him. And I am having bad control of my buttons. Get that red shirt guy. Did not get the guy with the bat. Barely got into I win mode there. We are in a lot of trouble here. We are in so much trouble. A lot of trouble. We are in so much trouble. We might have just won. This fight is, even on normal difficulty, not a good fight. Oh, we are threading the needle on this one. Like, we are just bouncing back and forth from... Nope, not that door. Not that door. Oh. This guy was still alive. How many I win moves have we done on that guy? And it's always a question of which door is it, because it's hard to remember that. And now we're through that door. We barely got through that. That was incredibly close. We saw the red screen multiple times. One hit away from death. That should be the last, like, serious possible loss room. We have some boss fights, but those boss fights are not going to affect us. I mean, if all goes good... See, there he's like, that was pretty good. You should have died. You really should have died. Repeatedly should have died. But you survived. I'm kind of proud of you. Oh, actually, it's here he goes, you know what? We can end this. Kill your dad. Kill the cop. And the cop's like, you won't do that. And it's like, I don't know why Dane would say no to that, because at this point, Tay feels slighted by what Dane did. But meanwhile, Dane should feel kind of thankful to Tay for being a friend, even though everyone's horrible here. But meanwhile, Cop Dad, he's an abusive, horrible child beater of a dad. It's like, it's okay. I swear. You kill your dad, we're good. You kill your dad, we could be best friends. What do you say? Do you want to be best friends again? Because all you gotta do is kill your dad. And at this point, there is no reason that I could think of that Dane wouldn't be like, well, Cop Dad's horrible. But no, instead, everyone's really bad in this game. Like, it's always interesting playing through this game because it's truly a study of what happens if you create a story with no redeemable people. So, for example, when you play through a lot of stories or some movies or things like that, Cop Dad smirking like, he'll never kill me. But when you play through like a game, let's say you're playing through a game and every character, no matter how good the game is, every character is irredeemable. You don't like anyone. No matter how good that game is, you lose a little bit of your passion to play it just because you feel like, why? I could play a game that's equally good, because there are so many good games out in the world, where you're like, I could play a game just as good where I'm playing a character that I actually like. Or maybe I don't like my character, but I like this other character. Like another good example is Shadow of the Colossus. Every character in that game is actually pretty bad, except the girl you're trying to save, who I don't think ever wakes up. So she's kind of not a character, she's a corpse. But except the Colossi, who are good, every character, including your character, is bad. Alright, speaking of bad, let's bop some fools. Alright, slow motion, that's a quick one right there. And look who it is up ahead. It is Top Knot. Finally, we get to take this guy on. This guy is a little bit annoying. It's going to be a lot of RNG. We're going to hope that he sets up counterable attacks, because it is going to be all about the counter and then attack. But not every dodge will set up a counter. That one did. So we're trying to get as many attacks in as possible before he gets back into dodgeable. So if he ever straightens his tie, that's a tell. This fight is in a way like doing Mike Tyson. There's some dodges, there's some tells. Like this one actually is close to a video game. And there's another one. If it enters slow motion, you know you got it going. Alright, that's a pretty good fight there. That was RNG being on my side. And now comes, let's make these characters who just suck as cool as possible. Look, ooh, just barely can't hit me. And then this hurts. I'm sorry, but both of them should be in pain there. You punch fist to fist like that, your wrist is going to hurt, your fingers, like, it's like if you've ever punched a wall. And everyone has punched a wall, whether you did it intentionally or unintentionally. All right, we are about to enter into the end game, but we are far from the end. We are essentially entering the final part of the game. This final part is longer than Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. Possibly longer than Chapter 4 or 5. Just for this end part. Like, it is going to go on. And, oh no. Somehow, Cop Dad, who was behind you... Keep in mind how you were standing with Cop Dad right behind you. His entire left side was entirely behind you. So, I want you to keep that in mind because... Oh, yeah. Tay is actually the one who was holding the gun when Mom Wife was killed. And for some reason now Dane remembers. And now he's like, wait a minute, you killed my mom. Where did he get shot? He got shot right here. It is super on that side, and Dane was covering that whole side of him. Which pretty much means Dane's a ghost? Or a superhero, or maybe Kitty Pryde? I think he phased out. He phased out of existence, and the bullet went through him into Cop Dad. But I love the fact that for some reason Dane forgot for like 20 years. Well, I guess not 20, probably about 15 years. Oh, you're the one who killed my mom. And meanwhile, Tay right here is like, what is this? What is this stupidity? Like, his acting here, I actually like it with the audio on. It is so much of, this is dumb. This is bad. This is inappropriately, offensively illogical. Like, I actually, especially for his going into madness descent, I really do like Tay's acting, or at least his dialogue. At least what they tried to do with him, I like it in this chapter. In fact, everything from chapter 5 through is just kind of fun for Tay. So like I said earlier, the actor who plays Tay is probably the closest to a good actor in all of this, and I can't tell whether it's because of the actor, or I don't know. And then here comes Lala Mom Wife to save Dane. Now Tay is angry at Mom Wife, and now he's like, hey Dane, I killed your mom, now I'm going to kill the same actress a second time. Also, I love the fact that in that cutscene, Tay's holding the gun with a look of on his face. Meanwhile, they were fighting over the gun when it went off. So it's confusing. This all doesn't quite match up. It's almost like 5 witnesses saw this, and each one's telling a story. I love this, though. He's like 13 or something, and holding his mom's hand while walking along, and then he's going to be like, these two have a gun and are fighting. Like, here we go. Gun is drawn. Raging Bull's like, dude, this is all over a very bad pair of shoes. These aren't like Air Jordans or anything like that. These are knockoff shoes. They're not Adidas, Reeboks, anything good. But he's like, they have a gun. Hi. He's holding the gun and he's like, hi, friend. Then right here, like all of you saw him with the gun. How did you forget about this for 15 years? And then he's like, oh no, drops the gun. And for some reason, Raging Bull goes, I'm going to pick it up. And then a short bit later, he's like, yeah, I've got a gun. Yeah, I shot her. Like, inexplicable. No, that whole scene did not line up with itself. And it's brilliant for it. Like, this is just the good, bad acting. This is the good, bad script. And the good, bad game where you spend more time watching it than actually playing it. But the parts you play, actually, there is speed tech. So it's kind of really fun how it all works out. Like, I love this game as a speed game. Hey, he shot your mom, and now he's going to shoot your other mom? You should go save him. And then we get the explanation. The only good character in this whole thing. Good as in morally good, ethically good. He's like, your kid needs help. He's hurting. Let's actually try to counsel him and help him. And so, Cop Dad, he's like, nah, how about we don't help him? Let's see how screwed up he could be if we just abuse him more. It's your turn to be the weird superhero with the kind of cool in a sense mask. Like, I'm not saying that mask is necessarily cool, but in terms of this game, that mask is the coolest part of this game. Like, with the robe that Cop Dad was wearing earlier with the, the hood over it, actually looked almost like a cool villain. Like a good, good psychopath, good, like, murderous fiend, good, like, oh, what's his face from the Scream movies? And here, the counselor's like, hey, what are you drawing? That seems kind of dark and messed up. So what are you drawing? And he's like, pretty much just, I forget what all he's saying, except he does say, like, the quiet man beats up the bad guys, or saying like that, and then he's like, I am the quiet man. See, he's like, that dude, dudes are the same dudes, and now the dudes are the same dudes. Because you are finally the quiet man. You're the third quiet man, at least the third. Because Raging Bull had it for a moment, and Cop Dad had it for a while. So you get up here. Oh, before you go up there, you need some fights just to see how cool you are. We're going to have some red shirts. We're going to have... We're going to have some baseball bat guys coming up. In fact, double teamed by baseball bats right here. Be careful around walls, because if a guy does clip through a wall, we will soft lock. Always be mindful of the soft lock. Because especially in this chapter, we don't want to have to replay what's been 25 minutes at this point just to get this far into the chapter. So at this point, we're getting a little overwhelmed by people, so we definitely want to be on the crowd control kick. So be very smart about crowd control here. Including using the I win button at the right time. So in theory, you can do quicker strats. But I'm trying to do this where I'm unlikely to die extra. And instead show the best marathon friendly. To make sure we don't have a soft lock and we don't die. I mean, the marathon estimate definitely has room in it for deaths. And slow down, so we're done with this place. And now we're on to the final scene of the game. But we want to play it safe because marathon run, you definitely want to come in underestimate if you can. You don't want to come in over. And adding in one death, not too bad. Add in a couple deaths and there could be problems. So now Dane gets up here and she's like, what the? Tay, the look on his face of, I am disgusted and confused and kind of filled with pity for you. So this is going to be another fight where we have to be very, very smart about the fight. It's going to involve dodging a little bit. And it is on. There we go. And so you might be thinking, hey, after this fight's done, that's going to be time, right? Oh, my I win mode wasn't working right, wasn't triggering. So this is the first of many fights up here. By the way, it's fun. You'll notice after I knock him down, I'm not hitting a direction to recenter where I'm going, but as soon as he gets up, As soon as he gets up, I automatically start punching him. This game doesn't have lock on, like right there. Had to re-get what I needed. Alright. So now you're like, ooh, we're entering the final phase of this fight, right? No. This is the point where, remember how I said, think of how inexplicable this could get. What is the most off-the-wall, out-of-left-field thing you could think of happening in this game? If you do not know this game, ooh, you are in for the treat of treats. So Dane's dead. So we've all seen games where the main character dies or retires and we start playing as a new character. Maybe that is what happens here. So like right here, maybe mom, wife, and Dane are having a conversation and she's like, you know, actually, we have a kid. And now you're like, oh man, you're going to play as Dane's kid. That's not what they're talking about. No, I forget what they're talking about here, but all that matters, we're not going to play as a different character. Dane has been shot like 3 times. No, it's going to go more inexplicable than that. It's going to go very inexplicable. By the way, I love the fact here he shows a picture to Lala of his mom. And she should be going, she looks just like me. And you're flirting with me. I gotta leave now. I'm sorry. She should be like, I'm out of here. But no, instead, she doesn't. Imagine you were hanging out with someone who maybe you're crushing on a little. They're obviously crushing on you. And then they pull out their phone and show you a picture of you. And they go, this is actually my parent. And you go, oh. So, now, remember when I said inexplicable? Remember when I said inexplicable? How about glowing eyes inexplicable? Yeah, you can tell what he meant. And now, if we get shot by a gun, we survived like 3 shots so far. If we get shot here, we die. So we gotta dodge that shot, mash the light attack button, we come up here and we punch him down. Now comes the army of goons, and we're just going to be able to do crazy crow powers as much as we want. So, want to see a kick? I'll show you this kick a lot. Where are the baddies? Here they are. So, main thing, we cannot run at this point. We can never run again in this game. They have disabled our run button, but we have the dash button. And we will use that dash button a little to get through things. And we're just now mashing heart attack. There's going to be more. There they are. So right here, we just got to do Super Crow powers over and over until all the baddies are dead. Once again, we will then have to fight Tay. And once we fight Tay again, it's going to be another time where he's going to try and shoot us, if he does shoot us. So it is confusing when it's time for him to shoot at us. Let's do something a little different on this side. There are different attacks. We'll put a little variety in it for entertainment's sake. And now comes Tay again with the gun. Cool guys step on the gun, fling it up, catch it. So it makes no sense what to do here. It's obvious to dodge it, but if you don't know that you dodge and then mash on light attack, you will just continue dodging his bullet over and over for all time. So you're probably like, alright, final fight with Tay. After this fight's done, it's going to be time. And no. No. By the way, remember that kick we have? We could show him that kick. There's this attack. There's a whole bunch of these attacks. And it's pretty much a matter of how many times do you hit light attack before you hit the strong attack to do a finisher. I kind of like this one the most. Alright, and now we're done with Tay, and you're probably like, it's a cutscene. This is it. This is game over, right? It should have been time. No. We haven't fought the final boss. And you're probably like, wait. Oh, final boss. Let me guess. Tay gets crow powers. Tay becomes Super Crow, right? No, that wouldn't be it either. Oh, does Lalash. So Mom Life gets like crow powers. No, you don't fight her. That's not where this goes. No, this is gonna go somewhere. And if you could predict this, you are a better person at guessing wackiness than me. See though, he got shot very much on the side where Dane was overlapping with him. But now, care to guess who the last boss is? Somehow, despite a gut shot, like that probably shot him. Definitely has kidney got hit with that, because that's very much on the side. By the way, can we have a weird moment here? We have the Oedipus relationship going on. But maybe, could she kiss his mask? That'd be incredibly weird. Could she kiss his mask? That'd be brilliantly weird. There's no way they'd go that weird, right? There is no way they... No, she's removing the mask, right? And it flashes back to this, because this is Oedipus Complex, the game. I'm so sad because I just punched the living heckaroony out of my best friend. Also, I was shot like 4 times before I turned into a mythical beast from hell. I don't know what I'm doing. This story, at this point, if it ended, it'd be like, this is nonsense. I love she smiles there. There is no way she should be able to even get a smile on her mouth at this point. This just murder and mayhem and hell beasts. Like this story is artwork at its finest. This is truly artwork. So coming up, we're going to have a fight. And this I should bring up because we are getting actually close to time. We are almost done with our fun time in the land of the Quiet Man. So, once again, that mask. And I guess, actually, the final boss is the Quiet Man, in a way. This boss is going to be ridiculous because it's two people who have been shot, and the game remembers that. We're both going to move like Frankenstein's monster. We're going to move bad. So the first phase, we'll know it's over when that breaks. The second phase, once it's done, is when time happens. And that is going to be hard to predict. It's not something I could count down, but after we see the electro wand break, the next time it cuts to a cutscene will be time. Unfortunately, I can't say exactly when. There is no good countdown. This game can be janky, and if it's janky, we could end up losing out on seeing when time is. So we are just going to do the best we can, and we will be ready to at least have a button on the timer. Alright, and now it is round 1 of the final confrontation, the big boss. This time Dane's smart enough to not grab the tip of that, and we are moving. We were actually getting hit there because the game went weird for us. Alright, so this is the end of phase 1. The next time we go into a cutscene will be time. That's coming up within the next minute-ish. Depends on how well the game wants to behave, because sometimes the game takes some weird turns. Not yet, but we're getting close. So you can only go into I win mode when it's blue on the side, not red, even though it alternates red and blue. And that's part of the jank that causes variety in when this will end. That's it, time! And that actually, I believe, might be a PB for me. I believe my old PB is 212. This is somewhere around 210. I like to give 220 as an estimate for an event because you saw how close I came to dying a few times, and definitely don't want to have that happen. So at this point, we have a final big fight scene. It ends in a flash out. And this is a point where the run could be done in terms of a marathon event, in terms of a showcase, a marathon, what have you. I'd probably be like, all right, if we have time, we're a little underestimate. If we could play out the cutscenes for everyone to enjoy, that would be fantastic. If not, I could go ahead and call it quits. So coming up right here, we are going to have it inexplicably turn that audio on. So I'm going to go ahead and play out the rest of this as if we were actually at an event. We'll play out pretending that you said, yes, we can go ahead with the final cutscenes. We are ahead of schedule, so go ahead and let's play it out. Let the fans see what all we were doing, of which we're going to have it cut to audio. If we ever died, by the way, we'd have the mom version of Mom Wife looking down at us just like this, but making weird faces, sometimes doing that, sometimes going like, sometimes cross-eyed, sometimes kissy faces. It's bizarre. And so all of a sudden we're going to have sound. And I'm going to play this out as if this was at an event. And you said, go ahead and play out the rest of these cutscenes. So what I would do is we would wait for the audio to... And then I would go, all right, and so for this, we will go ahead and turn off the sound. So we finally made it. We got audio, but we're going to end that audio. Make sure our subtitles are back on. The lyrics of this last song are ridiculously bad. It's another donation incentive. I sing out the best I can. Oh, when everything is lost, you know, sing out or saying like that, or read it like poetry and mixed feelings seed a hurricane of hearts. 'Cause the trouble with you is the trouble with me. And we could play it out like that. The reason I turned off the audio though, this song, I have had this video of running through this be copyright struck because of this song. There is copyright strikes that come about just from this tiny bit of audio. 2 hours and change of running this game, and the one-time audio comes back. By the way, the time that it takes for a smile to go across a room and the time that it takes to be finally understood, this song is Hallmark card poetry. But this song is one that will trigger a copyright strike, but we could turn the audio off easy enough. And if we want to play out the final cutscenes, which I am going to do, but I will say, if I was told there is not enough time for the final cutscenes, we need to wrap this up and move on to the next run, I'd probably just say, all right, everyone, thank you for having me. I'm Heppenwana. Much love to all of you. Be good to each other. I'm really appreciative that you let me run this at your event. I hope you all enjoyed this really unique take on video games. Definitely an awful game. Definitely a meme-tastic game. But also kind of amazing in how it is presented. And then I'd probably be like, all right. And I'd just like to thank so-and-so for those donations earlier, for reading them off. A great host. And I'll turn it back over to you. But instead, we're going to let this run out just so that if you did say, hey, we do want to see how this runs. We want to see all the way through to the end. I'm going to let this continue playing right now. Of course, I'd keep talking, probably banter with the host, because I imagine my host be like, what was this game? What just happened? I'd be like, all right, blah, 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 and we could chew the fat, talk back and forth, or I could talk just on my own. I could talk about the different categories, because there is remumbled. After you beat the game the very first time through, you get the ability to play with sound. Most games, New Game Plus, maybe you get more experience, you keep your levels from the first time, you keep your items, your skills. This game, New Game Plus, you get sound. That is the most unique New Game Plus I can ever think of. Because who's saving who at the end of the day right here? In the time that it takes for a smile to cross the room, Cop Dad is going to berate you and beat you because he's a bad dad. But this game definitely is something unique and amazing. I don't encourage anyone to run it. But if somebody wants to, I would be happy to try and help inform people how to run it. You know, offer some hints, some advice. The biggest piece of advice, ignore the B button because that's the shove button. If somebody gets shoved into a wall, they might go into a wall and they might soft lock the game. The other advice, when you have a large crowd, if you're not doing it for an event, don't worry as much about crowd control, because if you want to get a PB, you probably want to play a little risky. If you do die, you only lose maybe a minute or so. It's not the longest death. It depends on when you die during, when you die during the game. If you die at the end of a very long fight sequence, like when I was redlining repeatedly before Cop Dad got shot, those can be kind of tricky because you can lose like 3 or 4 minutes. However, we will now turn that audio back on and enjoy a little bit of the final ending of this game. But that's how it works with the final part of the game. You do want to turn off that sound, even on the sound free, the blessed silence. If I talk about what categories there are, advice for speedrunning this, I don't think there's a Discord community for this. Oh, I guess that's actually it for the whole game. There are more cutscenes if you play the remumbled with audio. It actually goes on for another minute or 3. It shows what happens to Cop Dad and to Dane afterwards. They actually become kind of friends. This game is a bad example of how to deal with trauma and abuse. It's real bad advice. Anyways, thank you for having me. I'm Heppenwana. I hope I could run this for an event for you. It is an awful game. It is a bad game in so many ways, but it is really, it's an amazing bad game. Thank you. And consider it for your next event. I'm happy to run it.